Order of the Freeborn Blades is of great repute, and the mercenary does honor to its name. The mercenary's powers are both astonishing and fascinating. The knight would like to duel with the mercenary, that he may judge the mercenary's strength.
It's not really the right moment, but if you want, we can talk about it later.
Mr. Vulcan, what brings you here?
The captain wants me to help your village. You got a job I can do?
With our shortages of food and fighting men, our worn-out equipment and the growing lines at the healing house, I cannot deny our village is sorely in need of help. Sadly, I fear that these are not the sort of problems you're used to dealing with, unless I'm much mistaken.
Maybe I'll surprise you. So what's the problem with the healing house?
Quite simply, Mirana cannot keep up. She spends every waking minute giving out supplies to the refugees and refuses to admit that she cannot help everyone. She thinks she's fooling me. I have heard rumors that her food stock is running low. Unsurprisingly, the crowds outside are becoming restless. I believe they wish to continue handing out our food reserves as though they were unlimited. This is not the case, and thus, it is not an option.
So, you want someone to put her down?
Why, I never suggested any such thing. I just wish she would see reason, for all our sakes. But I have asked nothing of you. I was merely answering your question.
Your guards... how can I put this? At first, I thought they were disobeying orders. Now I think maybe they don't even understand them. If you're stupid and incompetent, you should be digging turnips, not taking care of security.
You're beginning to worry me. Is it really that bad?
Are you kidding me? The state of their weapons is enough to make you cry. Maybe they'd be good for splitting logs.
Personally, I'm not capable of judging the aptitude of our sentries, but their poor results speak for themselves. Doubtless, you should share your observations with Mason, the Chief of the Watch. I should warn you, however, that he is of a somewhat stubborn nature.
Wouldn't be the first I've seen. I need the reports about this beast that attacked the villagers.
I fear I am unable to be of help. I'm still not entirely convinced that it even exists. All I know is that several villagers have vanished. One villager is at present in the doctor's care, following a supposed encounter with the said beast. These swamps are crawling with dangers. There is nothing to suggest anything out of the ordinary. The refugees are always inventing horror stories in an attempt to force us to open our gates and let them inside.
It might be worth checking it out. You said you lost one of your patrols, right?
That is so. You should speak with Randval. He was most anxious to go out and hunt the beast down, but we needed him here. Now that we have more able bodies to guard our gates, I imagine he would be keen to pick up the scent once more.
I've got a few questions I'd like to ask about this village.
I imagine there are few who are better placed than myself to answer them.
How come it's you that's running the show here?
What a question. Because, my friend, someone has to. You imagine I'm doing this for my amusement, perhaps? Doubtless you wish it was someone else. The Chief of the Watch has trouble organizing 3 peasants. Our dear apothecary is evidently keen to give succor to any and every poor soul who wanders into the healing house. And regardless of your reputation, the people of this village would never trust outsiders such as yourself, or even the Red Scribes. So yes, it is indeed I who command here. The one-time steward of the hunting lodge of Valvanor, now leader of this shithole.
Well, hell. Glad we got that cleared up. What can you tell me about the people of Valvanor?
Before the war, there were just a few families here, hunters and craftsmen mostly. These days, they survive as best they can, husbanding their animals and digging up the puny vegetables they've managed to grow. Few dare to venture outside the walls. These woods are fruitful, but more perilous than ever before, and most of these folk know nothing of arms.
But you've got your guards.
They hardly qualify as an armed militia. Of the few that remain, most are sturdy farmers whom we have entrusted with some kind of weapon. Most of the real fighters left the village as soon as war broke out. The others died while out on patrol. The only one left here with any real experience is Mason, the head of the guard. Sadly, the man is a walking beer keg, who could not give a dog's fart for what his men are about.
Who are all those refugees that you're keeping outside the walls?
The war with the Ice Lords has driven many from their homes and villages. Alas, it would seem that some of them found their way here. I have tried to accommodate as many as we can, and provide as much comfort as possible, but I fear we can do little more. We are reaching the end of our reserves, and relations between the refugees and the villagers are becoming strained.
The refugees can't all be dead weight. Some of them have got to be useful.
Oh, if only. Believe me, I would be the first to welcome them. These peasants have been fleeing from town to town and from camp to camp for months. The best and strongest of them perished in battles, somewhere along the way. I must deal with the leftovers. I put the biggest of them in the watch, but they are of little use.
The healing house. It's a pretty good thing for your village, huh?
If you say so. As time has gone by, the healing house has drawn refugees to the swamps in ever greater numbers, and dissuaded some malingerers from returning to their families. When it opened its doors a year ago, the sense of relief was palpable. It was run by a couple, an elf doctor and his apothecary wife, who clearly were no strangers to the healing arts. Thanks to them, we were spared many plagues. But as the war dragged on, the endless tide of refugees continued to flow through our gates until we could harbor no more. 6 months ago, our worst nightmares were fulfilled. Our elf doctor fell ill and died. Since then, Mirana has soldiered on without rest, alone. I do not know how much longer she can keep going. The refugees just keep on coming. And I fear that poor woman is beginning to crumble under the strain. It's not surprising.
I need a blacksmith. Do you have one here?
With none more qualified, I asked Asiel to take over the village forge. I suppose I should warn you, he's quite a tricky character. He has a huge ego and is stubborn as an ox. Before the war, he was a sort of artist. He crafted jewelry and sculptures from metal. Despite running the forge, one could hardly call him a blacksmith. But he's the only one here who had even the vaguest notion of how to repair a shovel or straighten a blade.
I've got a few questions I'd like to ask about this village. We'll talk again later.
The knight heard talk of a troubling event that happened during the meeting between the mercenary and the steward.
Yeah, the short version is that I have a demon living inside of me.
A demon? The knight has never heard of such a creature. Should he be worried?
Don't worry about it. The thing inside of me allows me to control fire. Could be pretty useful against the Deadwalkers, huh?
Evidently. But is there not a risk that this creature will devour the mercenary?
A risk? Not yet. It needs me, and I have it under control. I have a few questions I need to ask you. You mentioned the Order of the Ember Knights. What is that?
It is the order that the knight belongs to. They are the surviving warriors and honored soldiers of other orders that were lost during this war.
Oh, so it's kind of the Order of the Orphan Knights.
This name does not sound well to his ears.
Right. So you haven't always been an Ember Knight.
No. He was first a defender of the Algander Islands. Then he was a Templar of the Order of Burgians, and then a Brother of the Rock, and then a Summer Tracker.
So all of those orders have been lost. That must have been hard.
He has lost many valorous companions in battle, and his heart is heavy with scars.
I'll bet. So what is the creed of the Ember Knights?
The knight has long searched for the answer. Now he knows it. To seek a glorious death and carry as many enemies as possible away with him.
That's kind of depressing. If you follow me, we should be able to find a chance for you to get your beautiful death. Just try not to commit suicide at the first available opportunity.
The knight will wait for this moment.
You're not from around here. Where do you come from?
The knight was born in the Algander Islands. It is a proud and savage place where the struggle against the wind and vicious neighbors makes a man strong. The Ice Lords attacked the islands more than 15 years ago, long before the rest of Vertial knew that the world was now at war. The clans were always fighting, but they fought together as brothers when the islands were threatened. And as a defender of Algander, the knight had the honor to be one of the first to fight, and with his brothers for a long time he repulsed the invader. Some of the clan chiefs wanted to make peace with the Ice Lords, but the Ice Lords betrayed them, and the clans were decimated. Their numbers were sorely missed during the following battles, and in a few short months the war was almost lost. The knight was sent by the surviving clan chiefs to the mainland to find allies. But time is a cruel master. When he returned to his homeland, the islands were buried beneath the ice.
So how did you end up in the village of Valvanor?
When he saw that all his kin were slain, the knight was hungry for revenge and sought out battles to bathe his pain in blood. But in every battle, he lost more of his brothers in arms and faced an enemy that only grew stronger. The orders were always hazardous, with betrayals common and errors never-ending. Faced with these eternal difficulties and death, always more death, the knight lost his hope, and so he left the field of battle. He decided instead to take care of the war's victims, to protect them, even though he knew it could only last a short time. It is a final mission without any other hope but to give comfort and relief to a few innocent souls.
What do you think of the Red Scribes?
Their studies have made them blind. Only knowledge interests them. They show contempt for all else. Today they have the ear of the last surviving warriors. They do not deserve this honor, and their words are hollow.
So what did you abandon when you entered into the Order of the Ember Knights?
The knight has already said he does not wish to speak of this.
Fair enough. I won't ask you anymore. Let's change the subject. Ranville, I need you. Come with me.
The Knight is proud to be of service.
Sybil, can I talk to you?
Yes?
I need your help. Come with me.
If you want.
Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
Can I have a look at your stock?
Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
I have some questions I'd like to ask you. Do you have any idea about what's happening to me?
I'm afraid I may not be able to help you. Your condition is more due to magic than medicine. Your symptoms remind me of certain mental illnesses, where the subject has the impression he hears voices in his head.
And do these nutcases throw fire and have eyes that burn from within too?
You'd be surprised at what they can do. But obviously you're not like them. That being the case, if you study them, you might find some answers. In particular, I'm thinking of the fact that most of these poor madmen end up giving free rein to the darkest side of their personalities. Make sure that doesn't happen to you.
Who's the big snoring elf?
Show some respect, please. That's Prince Arundel.
And?
He's the son of the Elven King, leader of the last army standing against the Deadwalkers.
Yeah, okay. But he doesn't exactly look like he's ready to stand against anything just now. What's wrong with him?
From what I've been told, Relmar brought him here before we arrived. The prince and his men fell in an ambush. Without your friend, he wouldn't have made it out. Unfortunately, he was severely wounded and has probably been the victim of powerful magic. I'm trying to find a cure, but without much success for the moment.
I have some questions I'd like to ask you. I'll be going now.
My goodness, let's see. You're not pissing blood, you're not vomiting your guts out. Both legs are in place and they seem to be holding you upright. Congratulations. It looks like you'll pull through. And now you'll excuse me, but I have other miracles to accomplish, and not much time to devote to people in your condition.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'd like to speak with you.
Are you wounded?
No.
Are you a refugee dying of starvation?
Hey, I'm a mercenary. We're always hungry.
Why don't you go roast a Chris alien and come back and see me when you're twisted in pain? Haven't you anything better to do than bother me?
Hang on a sec. The steward himself sent me here to give you a hand.
Wonderful. I've been after him for months to get me some help, and he sends me an armed ape. You practice medicine, I presume? Your tools seem rather barbaric.
The tools are fine. That's not to say I don't get a little barbaric sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Believe me, I've already used them to do a little surgery on a few evil tongues, and nobody ever complained once.
So be it. If you're as gifted as that, I guess I have nothing to lose. In fact, there is something that you could doubtless do for me. I'm worried about my assistant Haman. I haven't seen him for a while now, and I fear he might have gone into the swamps to look for the plants I need. We're forced to venture further and further in to find the plants we need. With all that's been going on lately, I forbade him from going back out alone, but the boy is nothing if not stubborn.
Stubborn? Yeah, I hate people like that.
Please find him. He's a good boy. He's done nothing but help others since he arrived. Without him, the House of Healing would be a house of death.
If I'm gonna be slogging through the swamps anyway, might as well take a look around and try to bring back the plants you need too, right? You got any drawings or descriptions?
Yes, that's a good idea. I would be grateful to you, but above all, try to bring back my assistant Haman in one piece. He is your priority. For the rest, basically, I need food, medicinal herbs, and of course, I wouldn't say no to a few pre-prepared potions. All of our stock seems to disappear so quickly. I'll give you the parchment that I made for Haman to help you recognize the specimens I need. He knows them by heart now, after so many trips.
Right. Plants, potions, chow, and one assistant. If I come across any elven tea, would you like a cup of that too?
That would be lovely.
Let's talk about your healing house. I found you a few health potions. Here, I hope these will help cover your needs for a little while.
They will prove very useful, I promise you. And thank you.
Where could I find some food for you?
Sadly, there isn't much choice. You have to go look for it in the swamps, unless you want to bargain for it with the steward. Perhaps he will be more generous with a mercenary than with a simple apothecary.
Where could I find some food for you?
Sadly, there isn't much choice. You have to go look for it in the swamps, unless you want to bargain for it with the steward. Perhaps he will be more generous with a mercenary than with a simple apothecary.
I'm still looking for your assistant.
Here? I seriously doubt that he's still here in the village. Please, I know that it's dangerous, but you'll have much better luck looking for him in the swamplands. Come back and see me when you've any news.
I'd like some information about the village and its inhabitants. So what do you think of the steward?
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Too late if you ask me.
If I were you, I'd be wary of him. He is not as honorable as he would have you believe. Know that before the war, he was just a lackey, bowing and scraping before all the people of power that passed by. Due to a superior's mistake, he thinks he's in charge now. He's a latecomer, nothing but an opportunist, ready to do anything to keep his little piece of power. I've had the misfortune of experiencing his sense of priorities. When he no longer has a use for you, he lets you know you're not welcome.
I can't say I disagree with you there. This asshole treats everybody like his personal slaves.
For the moment, he treats you well because you serve his needs. This might not always be true, and then your lives will be threatened.
He'd go that far?
I didn't found the House of Healing alone. It was with my husband, Ron. He was not a great warrior, nor a renowned strategist. His only gift was for healing. He was my teacher before becoming my husband. The steward welcomed us with open arms. We took care of his men, his villagers. Then the refugees started arriving in greater numbers. Too many for Chambriad, who ended up closing the gates and pretending that these people simply didn't exist. Ron was furious. He tried to make him understand that he would heal everyone, no matter what. And if the self-proclaimed leader of the village wasn't capable of taking care of anyone other than himself, that he would do it. A few days later, I came back from the swamps to discover Ron in agony in the healing house. He had been poisoned.
You think this was the work of the steward?
Who else would have reason to kill him? Everyone loved him and counted on him. Chambriad thought that without him, the healing house would close and that the number of refugees would diminish naturally. Unfortunately for him, I will continue my husband's good work even unto my dying breath. He gave me an even greater reason to keep going.
This healing house is a waste of time and resources. These people are but dead weight.
Who are these refugees you're helping?
They are the outcasts of the war. Those who didn't have the privilege of dying in combat or who lack knowledge of the arts of the forge. No one wants them. If I don't help them, nobody will.
You're doing the right thing. Taking care of them is good for everybody's morale. The ones who do the fighting want to know they aren't doing it for nothing, and that their people won't be abandoned while they're gone.
That is far from the only reason. But I'm very happy to hear you say it.
What did you do before the war?
Before the war? Please don't tell me you're naive enough to believe that this war only started 10 years ago.
That's what everybody says.
I come from Shorelin, a faraway land in the north that the Ice Lords probably wiped off the map some time ago. Because no one is left to write the history books, other than a fanatical cult more interested in arcane magic than in human science or medicine.
That's just not fair. The Red Scarves are interested in every kind of knowledge. Each has his own speciality, of course. But the war has simply imposed certain priorities. And what is more important, we are not a cult.
If you say so, young lady. The fact remains that the war is far more ancient than that. For as long as I can remember, I have always known war. I was only just learning to walk when Marshal Winters invaded my homeland.
I have heard of this Ice Lord. Winters the Bloodthirsty.
I wandered along the main roads for years, always heading further south, staying just ahead of the advancing Deadwalkers. First with my sister, and a family of neighbors. Then just with my sister. Then all alone. Until the day I met the man who would become my husband. A remarkable elf, who taught me how to heal, and how to love, and help those near me. But after years of fleeing, and ending up here in this isolated village so in need of healers, we decided to put down roots. Roan died 8 months ago, leaving me alone and in charge of the House of Healing that we had built together.
I'd like some information about the village and its inhabitants. Have you heard any rumors about a beast wandering around in the marshes?
They are not rumors. There is something in these marshes, and I have a patient in a coma that confirms it.
Something? What does that mean? Where can I find it?
I don't know exactly what it is. The wounds don't resemble anything seen around here before. What you seek is large, powerful, and obviously has enormous claws at its disposal. The wounded man was found west of the swamps, crawling towards the village. If you really wish to fall upon that beast, that would be a good place to start. But bear in mind the possibility that it may be the beast which falls upon you.
I'll take my leave. See you later.
Yeah, who are you? One of them fucking mercenaries, right?
Fucking mercenary, yeah. Sounds about right.
You know what I call your lot? Ore blades. I got no time for ores.
Maybe if you were to do something about your bad breath, the whores would let you get close to them. You know, I'm just saying.
Go fuck yourself, Oreblade. Do I have to spill it out, or should I just put my boot in your arse? Clear off!
Would you just shut your stupid mouth for 2 seconds, please? The steward sent me here to help you.
Oh, that's all I need. Don't he think I got enough on my plate? Now he sends me some ore blade from God's know where. Hey, as long as it ain't Leah's paying for you, hey? You want to help? Knock yourself out. But I warn you, there's plenty to do.
Get to the point before I set your breath on fire.
All right, take it easy. No need to get nasty, eh? You want to help? Yes or no?
Keep talking.
Well, for a start, you could try and find one of my patrols that's gone missing. At first, I thought maybe one of those half-wits was sleeping it off under a tree somewhere. But it's been a while now. Maybe something bad happened to him in the swamp.
I guess I could go back and check.
What a coincidence. That's exactly what I was gonna ask you. After that, well, I suppose a pro like you, I guess you would be useful helping out the sentries. It won't be luxury. I don't know if you've seen what we're supposed to fight with, but wow, if you can have a word with your quartermaster to see what he can do for my lads, you have my blessing. The benediction of a drunk. Better and better.
That's what all us fucking mercenaries dream of. All right, I'll see what I can do.
Right. We may be living in the arsehole of Virgil, but being armed like a bunch of tramps, we can do without. And while you're at it, when you've been to the forge, you'll probably feel like letting off steam a bit. Why don't you go and take it out on my lads?
What do you mean?
Kick their arses so they can't sit down and get drunk instead of patrolling. And show them a couple of tricks while you're at it. A bit of training. Couldn't do no harm.
I'll train your men later, when I can come up with a program that's adapted to their abilities.
Whatever you like. Don't hang around too long, though, or the creatures in the swamp will take care of them before you get a chance.
About those sentry guards. Your men can't afford to keep their thumbs in their asses. It's time to teach them how to use those weapons.
Knock yourself out, Payblade. I'll go and shake them awake. Couldn't have done better. I reckon the lesson is gonna leave a few marks this time. Have you got time to go again, while they're still warmed up?
I'll let them recover a little. You can't teach them if they're lame.
Look at this! My favorite fucking troublemaker.
About those sentry guards. So where exactly did the patrol disappear?
Somewhere out in the swamp, to stop the chrysalids from regrouping too close to the village. But I specifically ordered them not to go too far.
I'll handle it. I'll go find them. Is there some place in the village where I can get your men's equipment repaired without it costing me an arm and a leg?
Only one I know of is that ass blacksmith's forge. And just talking to him usually costs me an arm, 2 legs, and both me bollocks.
Thanks for the tip. A barfly like you probably knows a lot about the people here, I'm guessing, huh?
Flattery will get you everywhere.
You look like you can probably handle a sword. How come you didn't get recruited?
Oh, just unlucky, I suppose. Last time an Alliance recruiter come through, I was stuck in the crapper. Worst dose of the shits I ever had.
Forget I even asked.
So, I never got to the front. I can't tell you how much I regret that.
What's your opinion of the steward?
My opinion? Tell the truth, I never liked how he talks, like an elf reject. But he does what he can. And honestly, he manages better than I do. Him and me, we ain't always seen eye to